In today's video, we are going to make a pretty blouse with a lace-up front using this embroidered tulle fabric. To sew this blouse, we have used the Norah blouse pattern, a blouse originally made from linen. It is perfect for all kinds of summer fabrics, and in this case, we will use embroidered tulle. So, we will also see some tips that may come in handy for this type of fabric. First, we will cut all the pattern pieces from the fabric. In this case, it is a very delicate fabric, and I do not want to mark it with any type of marker, so I will cut it directly. We will start by sewing the bodice pieces. First, the front. We will start with the two lower pieces, placing them right sides together and stitching along the seam allowance. In this case, we are using tulle fabric, so I am going to cover the seam with a small bias tape. This will prevent the fabric from rubbing against the body and will make it more durable. After this first seam, we will continue sewing the upper part of the bodice along the horizontal line. Press downwards. The back is made up of a single piece, and we have darts at both the waist and the shoulders. In this model, I will press all the darts towards the center back. Next, we will sew the front and back pieces along the side and shoulder seams. We will continue to use the method of stitching along the seam allowance plus a bias tape for finishing. We will press the seams towards the back. The next step will be to sew the gathered ruffle to the bottom of the blouse. To do this, we will sew the two rectangular pieces of the bottom together, and, in this case, we will make a hem using bias tape. Sew the bias tape to the right side of the fabric and turn it inwards, forming a hem. After hemming the bottom of the piece, do the same at the side edges, taking care to fold the corner well so that it is not bulky. The result is a fairly long piece that we must gather at the top and then adapt to the hemline of the blouse. We will match the seam to sew the two bottom pieces together with the center back. So we will use one of the pieces for the right side and the other for the left side. We will gather the entire piece until it fits the blouse, placing the pieces right sides together. When placing the gathered piece at the center front, leave the 1 cm seam allowance free. Once all the gathering is evenly distributed, stitch along the seam allowance to sew the pieces. In this case, I recommend covering the seam with bias tape, as there is a lot of fabric gathered and it could be uncomfortable on the body with just a simple overlock stitch. With this, the bodice of the blouse is practically finished. Next, sew the side of the sleeve and press the seam towards the center back. We'll add an elastic to the bottom of the sleeve, so we'll make a small track for it. As I am using tulle fabric, I prefer to make the track with cotton tape, in this case white, to match the color of the tulle. I will place a 3.5 centimeters wide tape following the contour of the entire right sleeve opening, right sides together. Once we have covered the entire contour, we will stitch a seam allowance and press the tape towards the outside of the sleeve. As a second step, we will turn the sleeve inside out and fold the tape inwards, pressing it to create a hem wide enough to accommodate a 1 centimeter elastic band. Secure this hem with machine stitching. You may be wondering how we are going to insert the elastic band, but remember that at no point did I tell you to join the two ends of the tape, so we have that open space to insert it. Gather the top of the sleeve, the upper part of the sleeve head. Finally, sew the sleeves to the armhole of the bodice. We will start by placing the side seam of the bodice and the sleeve right sides together. From there, we will match the rest of the armhole, using all the notches as a reference. We will gather the fabric at the top of the sleeve head. As we have done so far, we will sew along the seam allowance and cover it with tape. The result is looking very nice. We just need to finish the neckline. This blouse fastens at the front with loops. So, using the pattern piece, we will create 4 loops with the fabric. To do this, we simply need to sew spaghetti strips. If don't know how to do it, don't worry, because we have a tutorial for it on our blog. We need 4 loops, 2 for each side of the blouse. The first loop will be placed on the gather seam, just above it. The second loop will be placed just above the chest seam. To finish tidying up the neckline, we will use a 3.5 centimeters wide bias tape. We will place the tape from side to side of the neckline, right sides together, following the entire contour, and we will stitch along the seam allowance. Then we will turn the tape outwards and press it. We will turn the tape back inside the blouse, covering the seam allowance. To secure the tape, we will sew an overedge stitch. And finally turn the tape back inside the garment as a hem. As the tape is cut on the bias, we should have no problem shaping it with the iron in the curved areas. At the bottom edge of the front, we will simply fold the fabric inwards so that it is neat. In the last step, we can choose to secure the tape either with hand stitches, as I am doing in the video, or with a machine stitch, in which case the stitching will be visible on the right side of the blouse. All that remains is to insert the elastic into the track of the sleeve. To do this, we will use a safety pin. It will be a very simple process because, as you have seen, we left the opening so that we could insert and remove the safety pin. When you have finished inserting the elastic, pull both ends and make a stitching to secure them in place. Once you have sewn the elastic, insert it into the track and stretch it so that the gather is evenly distributed. And now you can enjoy your blouse.